minutes, join me with your cup of coffee for my coffee break, where we talk shop about life and interior design. Dream big, have a vision of what you want in life, and choose people who support you and make you feel bright. Make your environment an extension of who you really are, so that you are inspired every day. And now come on and join me on my coffee break at ourwarriordesigns.org, designing the heart of your home.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Coffee Break. I'm Remya Warrior, the host and producer of the show. We talk about the impact of interior design in your world. For me, design is not just about making a room look pretty. It's about creating the right environment that brings out the best in you. Now, I have an exciting show planned for you today. I have with me Steve McCready, and he is going to show us how he creates art with alcohol ink. Steve McCready is a psychotherapist turned coach, and he helps entrepreneurs master their mental game by day and create art with alcohol ink as well as oil paint by night. Hi, Steve. Welcome.
Hey, Remya. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
So it's great to have you here. Now, you are the second psychotherapist I've had on the show. So that's pretty exciting.
Cool. Yeah. You had my friend Anna on, right?
Yes, we had your friend Anna on. So I think everything that we surround ourselves with, the people as well as our environment, plays a huge impact on how we feel about ourselves, right? And
absolutely.
So art is also one big step in designing a room. Having those right art pieces is definitely, it adds that final touches to the room. And anything that you put in your home has to be meaningful. So, and art is, obviously, it is very different for everybody, and every kind of art brings out a different feeling to every single person who's looking at it. Yeah. So I've been watching your art on Facebook and really been following what you do, and I think it's like so damn cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I've never done that. And I had mentioned to you, I used to do oils a while ago, and now I haven't been able to do anything. So now you're inspiring me to get back into art. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Cool. I love inspiring people to do fun and new things. So that's great.
Yeah. And you have promised that you are going to show us how you do this. So I'm so super excited because we have never had anybody actually show on Coffee Break how to do something. So I'm so super excited for this particular one.
Well, cool. It's fun. Yeah. And the nice thing about this technique is, since it is in a lot of ways a little bit faster than some other art ones, it's relatively small, or at least the pieces I'm doing here are small. It's pretty easy to contain. And so it is a good thing to show, an easy thing to show off. So I'm happy to do it. Bring a little bit of an interactive element to the show today.
Yeah, cool. So tell me a little bit about the whole technique. What kind of paper do you use, and everything behind that? And also, I love the story behind how you started with it, because I think,
sure.
Yeah, so I think that is something which you have to relate to too. Like when you have an artist's piece of work, if you know the story behind it and how it inspired somebody to start, and what is the feeling behind the artwork and stuff, it makes it much more meaningful for the person who owns it.
Right. So you want me to do the story piece first, and then I can tell you about these works and how we create them?
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, so for me, I had, as a kid, I'd kind of played with drawing a little bit, never got anywhere with it and never did much with it for long. But I went through a period in my life when I went through kind of a little bit of a career and personal crisis around age 30, went through kind of a hard time. And at that same time, one of the things that happened is I kind of re-encountered the work of Jackson Pollock. And I had seen it before and thought it was kind of interesting, but it hadn't necessarily spoken to me that strongly. But when I re-encountered it at that time, it really resonated with me. And the immediate realization I had in looking at some of his paintings was that it was essentially a visual representation of what was going on in his head. because I also learned about him and some of the challenges he'd had with depression, mood disorders, and such. And it really kind of spoke to me and connected with me. And so I decided, okay, I need to play around with this a little bit. And so what I started doing is I'd go to Home Depot and get like these thin MDF boards, and like I'd get some of the oops paint that people had never picked up for cheap. And I started, fooling around with drip and splatter painting. Did that for a while. Proved to be very, really kind of cathartic for me. And there was a period of about 4 or 5 months where I was really excited about it, doing a bunch of it. And then one day it just kind of stopped. No longer felt a need. It was like there was something I was just processing, right, and getting out. And in the process made some cool stuff. So that was that. After that, I kind of let it be, went on about my life. But then a few years ago, when I met my girlfriend, she is a painter. And so I obviously saw her painting and doing stuff a lot. She does watercolor. And it made me kind of curious and made me remember that, and kind of nudged me to want to start playing with it again. And so since then, on and off, I've been playing with different types of art and painting. Started with some acrylic. I said I've been doing some oil painting, which is something I go back and forth to. And then I not long ago run across on Instagram some people doing this alcohol ink stuff, which was super cool to me. I've always done abstract. That's always been what's spoken to me, because for me, the creation of art is really about feelings and moods, right? It's really about bringing a visual aspect to that, and it's really about the feel of it. And so the alcohol ink, because of the nature of it, can be used very, very much in that sort of way. And so I've been wanting to play with it for a few months and just never kind of tracked down the stuff. And then one day, decided, okay, it's time to do this. So off I go, pick up all my things and start playing with it. And it really is kind of resonated with me. And that's kind of what I've been really focused on since with my creation. So as far as like the materials and stuff goes, alcohol ink itself is actually generally from the world of scrapbooking. There's a couple companies that make it, and it's generally used in scrapbooking for doing stamping and different kinds of things. And so again, it's obviously an ink, it's alcohol based, and it can be used for all kinds of different applications. You also want to be careful on getting it on any kind of a porous surface, because it'll soak in really fast and it's hard to get out. So this will stain the heck out of your hardwood floor or your wood table. So then another key thing I'm using, this is just isopropyl alcohol, just 90% isopropyl alcohol. Get it wherever, drugstore, wherever you want. For me, mostly what I use, this is what's called Yupo, and it's basically a plastic type of paper. It's mostly polypropylene. It's very, very non-porous, and for doing alcohol ink, non-porous surfaces are by far the best. There's some that are just a teeny bit porous that work well. This is totally non-porous. You can also do it. I know somebody who does it on aluminum, which is really cool. Wow. I've seen people do it on glass, all kinds of different things you can do. So that's all the basic, the basic stuff. And then it's about how you go and apply it and how you move things around. So I've got, this is my little handy blower. Some people use compressed air. Got a blow dryer, or you can just use, some people use straws, your mouth, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You'll get slightly different effects for each. Right. And so go ahead.
Oh, so I wanted to ask you, so does it actually stick on glass? It doesn't go away?
It will stick on glass. It's a little trickier to do on glass because glass is so non-porous that it really tends to move very heavily. And so it's hard on a small piece of glass to control it. Okay. And that is one of the things about this that's both kind of fun and challenging, is you don't quite have the same level of control over it that you would with, say, if you're painting or drawing, because it is a fluid medium. It really is fluid art. So I haven't tried, the thing I've wanted to try is to try it on frosted glass and to see how it'll work. Because I think that might be a, kind of a good medium. Some people use different types of Mylar or other things. So there's a lot of different, ways you can go about doing it if you want.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So
yeah.
Would you like to start showing us?
Yeah, I'll show you.
I'm so excited.
Cool. I'm going to show you a couple different ways of doing it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, here's something that I did earlier today. So you can kind of see, this is just the ink itself. And this is kind of where they start. And it's, it's okay. It's nothing that exciting though, right? As this. But what I'll do sometimes is just put that down 2 or 3, whatever colors in a kind of general shape.
Okay.
And then
have you already moved stuff with it, or did you like draw it in kind of, or?
I just kind of dripped it in a little bit of like of a line. So I'll take with the ink, you know, I'll kind of just draw around what I want. I might blow on it a little bit, but generally I'll just kind of let it do its thing. It dries pretty fast this way. Although you can do, like I'll show you this other one that I also did earlier today. And I think if you see, especially this, you might be some kind of texture lines in the gray. Where you can
you have to move it back.
You have to move it back. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
So yeah, you know, and that's from taking the blow dryer to it. And so the spots where it dries quicker or thinner, you can kind of vary the thickness of it a little bit. But usually when I'm doing at least the way that I'm going to show first, I will put just the ink down and not worry about anything else, just to get a general shape or color of it. And so, yeah, so it's all, you know, all pretty basic. And then, so now I'm going to see, I'm going to pick up my thing here. Let's see. So we'll see how this does visually. So, and then what we're going to start doing is I'm going to take my alcohol and I'll put it on the paper, and I'm not putting it on the ink yet, but I'm putting it kind of towards the ink. And as it touches the ink here, you're going to start to see it kind of start to spread a little bit. And now I'm going to take my blower here.
Oh, super cool.
And see, now you can see it kind of, yeah. And so now it kind of, I can blow it around and do whatever I want to it. So it'll dry pretty fast, because that's the cool thing with the rubbing alcohol. What actually happens is the rubbing alcohol, since it evaporates really quickly in air, as long as you put any kind of air pressure on it, you can dry it out real quick. So I'm going to do that. So yeah, see, now we're getting, let's see, I'll pull it up here so we can take a look and see. So yeah, see, now it's kind of, you start to get that kind of a thing on it. And then, yeah, so then we can do, you know, all kinds of different stuff. It's kind of a matter of trial and error, what kind of a thing you're going for, right? And it's depending on my mood and things, I'll do any number of different ways. Sometimes I'll just kind of work on burning the edges off of the ink. Other times I'll go like right here. I think I've got, let's see, you can see it all right, I think. I've got it kind of more in the middle, and I'm really gonna taking kind of aggressively blow it around. And then as it dries, it'll continue to shift a little bit. And what you'll see is you'll see some spots where I'll have kind of a harder edge, like over here, and then in the middle it'll be kind of softer. So you can get all kinds of different effects if you play around with it and know what you're doing. And it's definitely a thing where, you know, it takes some practice, and it has a little bit of a mind of its own sometimes, but it's a lot of fun.
Right. So you can actually, so there are certain things that you can control, like what kind of colors you want. So let's say if there is a client who wants to put in this certain colors in the room.
Right.
So that is something which we can actually, right? It can.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I can tell you. So, I had a couple days ago somebody commissioned 2 pieces from me. These are bigger ones. Like this one that I'm doing right here. This is 9 by 12, but you can get it. You can even get it in rolls. So you can get it in rolls as big as like 5 feet by 30 yards. So you can do whatever size you want. But they make sheets. I have some 20 by 26 sheets, so that's somewhat bigger. And I have a client in Phoenix who has asked me to do a couple pieces, because their walls aren't really decorated yet. And basically they had said, whatever, basically they just asked about colors. They're like, something that would be kind of Southwest color tones. And they gave me a few ideas of colors that they like. And so, because the inks come in tons of different colors, there's a couple companies that make them, and they're different. Some are really bright, some are more deep colors, some are thin or thick. So you can really get a real variety. Not to mention, you can always take the ink and dilute it with the alcohol. And so you can get varying, degrees of depth. Like that one I showed you here, that gray, that is actually diluted black ink.
Oh, okay.
And what it's probably about like a 5-to-1 alcohol to ink. And so it dilutes it to kind of a medium gray.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so totally, it's one of those things where whatever kind of thing you're looking for as far as colors, or if you're looking for a certain type of theme, like the brown and green on that one that I'm was demoing, I use that color scheme a lot. It has kind of an earthy kind of feel to it, right? And it produces kind of interesting stuff. So like here we can see it's kind of evolving.
Uh-huh.
right? And it's kind of shifted some over here.
Right.
So
Right,
yeah,
right, right. And that is definitely a very popular color scheme as well. So it's
right.
something which would go right now in a lot of homes. So you're
Would fit.
very,
I'm timely.
very
I like
smart
it.
about that.
Who knew? I'm going with the trends, and I didn't even know.
Oh, you didn't know?
So
Okay, I thought that was
no,
planned.
that was just luck. No, it's just luck. And again, for me, so much of this it really is about what colors happen to resonate for me, and what I'm doing. Obviously, if I'm doing like a commission for someone, they have specific requests, that's fine.
Hmm.
But when I am, doing it, just kind of enjoy it. Depends on what I'm feeling kind of inspired by, and I'll go through phases where a certain color pairing or scheme will kind of speak to me, and I'll just run with that for a while until I
Hmm.
get tired of it.
Right, right,
So
right. Yeah.
now,
Now I can totally see this being used in like landscapes, being used in like flowers and things like that, where you can, right, actually do it
absolutely.
and it gives that watercolor effect, but at the same time, it's very different.
You can. I'm going to walk over here actually because I've got handy a piece I just did a couple days ago,
Okay.
and you will see you're flat. You mentioned flower, and so it
Hmm.
made it stick out to me. Let's see here. So yeah, so this piece I did a couple nights ago, and so I'm gonna show it. Let's see, you can kind of
Oh,
see
yes,
there.
yes. I did see
See,
this
yeah, you
when
probably
you
saw that
had
one on
posted.
Facebook. So so yeah, so like a flower, and that's not what I was specifically starting with the idea of, but it kind of evolved, and that's what I've learned for me
Hmm.
in my technique is that I can have an idea of where I want to go, but I also, to a certain degree, have to go with it. Sometimes it has a little bit of a mind of its own, and I have to do kind of a mix of what's going on for me and what's going on for it. And if I fight it too much, then it ends up with some really weird, disastrous result.
Right, right, right. But it is a very organic process.
It is, yeah, it is. It's very,
Very
it's very organic. And this is especially so probably part of why it works so well for me, because that's kind of how I paint anyway. Like even with oil, again, I start with an idea and I kind of let it take me where it goes, which is very rarely where I start.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And do you,
So
you said you still do oils too, right?
I do from time to time. Yeah, I haven't been
Hmm.
doing as much of it lately because I've been all about the alcohol ink of late. But yeah, I do some oil as well. Yeah, it just kind of depends on what's going on. It has a different sort of appeal to me, and I
Right,
enjoy it as well. But yeah,
right, right, right. Now, even with oils, do you do more of the abstract?
yeah, yeah. I'm
Okay,
strictly abstract when it
okay.
comes to representational stuff. Not really my strength at all. And I know better than to than to try on that. So I stick with the stuff that I'm good at, which is the abstract. I tend to bring, especially in my oil painting, I one things I do sometimes bring in there a little bit is I have because I have a little bit of a background in radio. I worked in radio a number of years ago, and music is another one of my interests and hobbies. And so I often will incorporate elements of waves into my paintings, as kind of
Mm.
as just kind of a background piece, or that as a thematic, kind of thing. So that's something that makes a component there, and I'm sure that is in part the music influence, speaking to me in a sense. But
Right, right, right. Now, I mean, since I used to do oils, I know that oil paintings, I mean, all the materials, everything tends to get very expensive.
yeah,
So I have a feeling this is a little bit more affordable for somebody to start off
yes.
with, right?
This is actually a great technique for those who are either limited on cash, limited on time, or limited on space, because you can really do it one in bits and pieces. You can start a piece and leave it. I've been joking about doing drive-by painting because I have like one of the things I have set up is it's actually meant to be like a palette holder. I've got this
Mm.
but it's a plastic box, and what I'll do is I'll just take a sheet and stick it in it, and then I can just leave it. I'll just leave it somewhere in the house, and I'll have some of the paint there. I'll go by and drip a few things and such. But you can get
Mm.
the alcohol ink. Usually, it comes in 3 packs. Like most craft stores and stuff, they have 3 packs of different color schemes that are, you can get them on sale for $6 or $7 for that. The
Mhm.
paper itself, depending on the sizes you get, anywhere from $1 or $2 a sheet. And then isopropyl alcohol is dirt cheap. So
Cool. Yeah.
So someone for $25 can get an initial setup of things and actually be able to have
Start
enough to
doing.
play around with.
Right.
Whereas, as you all know, I could spend $25 on a canvas like that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's easy. That's
exactly.
nothing.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and I have to say, I used to do the opposite of abstract. Everything was like pretty
Right.
much
Well,
new.
I saw the
Uh,
one that you showed me before, and that was really great, though. I mean, that was really impressive. Very, very nicely well done. Great lighting and good shading on it. So,
yeah, so let me show.
yeah.
So this is the one which everybody probably has seen something similar to these.
Right.
This one I did when I was actually studying it.
Hmm.
So it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty good. To this day, I have forgotten to sign my name. So that's like shame on me for that. But I need to
Yeah.
do that. So that's one. This is, I need to reframe this. So this is sort of like a Ganesha.
I was gonna
Um,
say, is that Ganesha? Yeah,
this,
nice.
yeah. And this is knife painting.
I like
Um,
doing knife painting stuff's a lot of fun.
right. So this is as abstract as I've gotten.
Okay.
But we can still see what it is
But
and
it's,
like the meaning and stuff like that behind it. Um,
yeah, no, I think that
yeah.
one's cool. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, I like it a lot.
That's great, especially coming from another artist. It's really good. And then I
But
have a big one to show.
oh, cool. I don't,
Okay.
yeah, I haven't, ooh.
So can you see? Okay. So
Yeah, that's great.
all right. So this one
Wow.
is actually oil on velvet,
Hmm.
and it's
Okay.
called nib painting.
Okay.
And this one actually probably took me months to complete because I have a lot of little beads
Hmm.
that I actually ended up using as well.
That is super
So it's
cool.
like so detailed.
Very
Um,
intricate.
yep, very, very intricate. So, I mean, I've always enjoyed art, and it used to be something which actually helped me when I
Hmm.
was going through depression. So it's
Yeah.
actually pretty cool to mention that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's such a powerful, I mean, I think any creative thing can be, but art, I know for me, I found it's a way of really, again, kind of literally expressing, right, in an indirect way, some of these feelings and stuff. And I find that it's real helpful, even if I have a rough day. I mean, playing music does that for me too, but
mhm.
it's great with the art because then I can create something that I can, have for somebody else, and can help to beautify someone else's home or someone else's space as well. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely very therapeutic.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
So one of the things, Steve, I'm going to be mentioning your name and email address and how if somebody wants to buy art from you, they can get in touch with you.
Right.
And I think as a psychotherapist, did I say that right? You are a
Yes.
psychotherapist. Okay. So,
Psychotherapist. Yeah.
so I think one of the things which you probably would want to tell people is if you're feeling blue, give art a chance. What do you say?
Yeah. I mean, I think that some form of creative expression, and art is a great one, is a really, really good thing to try out if you're having difficulties with your mood, whether it's anxiety, depression, even anger. I think anything, because it's really about taking the energy. If we step back from this a little bit and we start to think of these feelings as a form of energy, and we recognize that energy can be redirected, it can be transformed, and it can have all these different things done to it. And so if we take this energy of the sadness or the anger or the anxiety and we redirect it into something expressive, something creative,
Mhm.
that's really, really powerful, both from the standpoint of not letting that depression take you over, but also from the standpoint of being able to turn it into something good, right?
Mhm.
Because that's what I tell people. I mean, it's what I've had said for years in my therapy practice, but it's also what I tell people when I'm doing coaching work with them is your ability to take whatever happens to you and what your experiences are and build on them is what's
Mhm.
going to dictate the level of success you have. Because when you can learn to do that, it doesn't matter what happens to you because it's all opportunity.
Right. That's very cool. And that's so
Yeah.
true. So, yeah, absolutely. So, I guess it's not just for art, but if you're an entrepreneur and you want some coaching advice, Steve is the guy to call.
Yeah.
So
I wear a
because
few
he
different
does
hats.
exactly. And I mean, like, and the basically the fact that you can understand the functions of the mind and how the mind works and how you can like literally go from like one mood to the other in a way that's not destructive, but in a way that is creative. I mean, all those kind of stuff you can actually help somebody with. So
Right.
I think that's really great. And
Yeah.
I mean, right now you're also an entrepreneur. I'm also an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur's life, we have so much that comes to us, right? There's just so much pressure. There's just so many things that we have to do. There's so much overwhelm. So I think you are the right person to call because you know the basics of the psychology aspect of everything. So I'm sure you can help them. In a multitude of ways.
A lot of different ways. Yeah,
yes,
no,
yes.
learning to work with your brain. Human brains are very, very complicated and very confusing if you don't understand them. Once you do, and once you know how to work with them, you can do a heck of a lot. And, you know, because of my psychology background, that's something I know really well. I've worked with in various forms for years. And so now I just apply it more in a business context with my coaching clients. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Steve, for spending this time with us. And since we're out of time, I'm just going to quickly wrap up, but give art a chance. If you saw some of Steve's art and if it talks to you, connect with Steve and commission a work from him because I think you will be very happy with the results. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your time. I truly appreciate it. I will see you next time on the next coffee break. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Remya.
You're welcome.